This conversation matters because if you're at the point where growth feels possible, but risk feels louder, what you need isn't more information, it's better judgment. Today, I'm sitting down with Mike Gudat. Mike is a close friend, a real estate developer and investor, and someone I trust deeply because the way he thinks is clean, disciplined, and proven over decades of real decisions. We talk about what most people skip, how small choices compound, where deals actually break, and how to know when the smartest move is to proceed and when it's not. This is about staying in control as you grow, not outsourcing judgment because an opportunity looks good on paper. This isn't about doing more deals, it's about making cleaner ones. This is Real Talk with Katie Kim. Let's get into it. Mike, welcome. Welcome to Austin. Thanks for coming down here so you could do this interview face to face with me. So let's start off with, what is Mike's origin story? Like, how did you get started in this crazy world of real estate investing?
So I'll even go back before my real estate origin story. I love this. And if I ever have anybody actually write a book about me, because I can't write more than 2 sentences, as Katie knows, my book will be Bankrupt at 13. So, and there's some lessons I take from this that I love to share, not just with 13-year-olds, but
was 13 your first business?
We'll
if you were bankrupt at 13.
Yeah, we'll pretend it was a business, but it was my first investment.
Ooh, okay.
So the short version of the story goes, my mom and stepdad got remarried right before after my 8th grade year. And when you graduate from 8th grade, like high school or anything else, you get some cash from friends and relatives, right? And I had $150 of cash, which was all the money I had in the world in whatever year that would have been, 1980.
Yeah.
And so my stepdad, he lived on 9 acres, and he would raise cows and raise chickens and raise things. And as I became indentured servant in high school, doing baling hay and stuff like that. But anyway, prior to that, he said, Mike, I got an idea. We'll buy 2 calves, $150 each. You buy one. He'll buy one, and in the spring for $150, so 100% of all of the money that I had.
So we took all your 8th grade graduation money.
We took all of my 8th grade graduation, and I was going to invest that into this calf that we were going to fatten up and feed over the winter time. In the springtime, we were going to sell it for $600.
Yeah.
I went to Farmington High School, but I do know that $150 to $600 is a 400% return on my money. So I am anxious to get this done.
Yeah.
Simple math. Anyway, so it is a brutal winter. And so my stepdad's calf passed away. We dig a hole in the out in the field. We bury his calf. My investment is still safe. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself. And then fast forward to a couple weeks later, and my calf got sick and died as well. So, it's buried out in the field as well. So, the lesson is, again, bankrupt, because 100% of all the money that I had in the world is gone. My $150 is now vanished into the field in a dead calf. So the lesson from that is, kind of make sure that you understand the risk when you're investing.
Yeah.
Make sure that you understand the business, if you want to call it business, of raising cows. That I got it, that I was invested in. And, I was going to joke and say, make sure you understand your investment partners. But, my stepdad had never, in probably 20 years of doing this, ever had a calf die. So even when previous market conditions were incredible.
So he did
You
this
don't
often,
know.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't his first rodeo. I mean, it wasn't his first calf.
It wasn't his first time he had done this. So again, it's just a small, simple lesson of and I also like to joke that if in fact that one cow had turned into $600 or calf, then we would have bought 4 calves. And instead of having owned over 1,400 apartment units over my career of owning stuff, I might have 1,400 cows running around a field somewhere.
Oh,
but that sounds like a terrible idea.
So that's interesting. So at 13, so how did you take it at 13?
I don't remember. That's decades ago. So I don't remember how I took it. It didn't
scare you from stopping and investing.
No. So, so if you fast forward to, at a similar time, my mom and stepdad bought he had been laid off from from Paps, and my dad was a fireman. So we were a very working class, not a lot of stuff sort of family when I was growing up. So, my stepdad got laid off from Paps, and then he bought an ice cream place, him and my mom did, in Bartonville. And then when I was in college, my junior year of college, I ended up starting my own pizza place called Checkers Pizza for a couple years. And it was a great learning experience about, kind of dealing with employees and cash flow and paying the bills on time and customers and marketing. So did all of that while I was going to college. And then after I graduated college, I decided I didn't want to be in the pizza place business because I'd made a ton of dough, but not a lot of money. So it was time to get a real job. And
so wait, so Checkers, was that a franchise?
No, it was it was literally me stealing Domino's. Domino's name, right? And another board game instead of Domino's, it was now Checkers. So,
okay, got it.
So that's kind of the origin of being in business.
So were you bored in college? Is that why you needed something else to do? Or
I don't know. I wanted to. I guess I probably always had a drive to be an entrepreneur. And when I was interviewed in college from a local TV channel about the pizza place, I wanted to be the next Tom Monahan. And Tom Monahan at the time was the founder of Domino's. So again, I'm not that smart though, because I ended up getting into the Blimpie restaurant a couple, probably 5 or 6 years later with another guy. We had 2 Blimpie restaurants that did not go well as well.
Okay, so wait a second.
So I'm old for the restaurant business. I'm old for the restaurant business.
So how did you get the cash to start Checkers? If you're in college, college is usually...
I've worked since I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
I worked, baled hay.
Investing cows. So.
Yeah. I worked. I had a job. My mom and stepdad had the Dream Hut for 10 years, so I worked there and worked in college, so saved money.
That's amazing.
Okay. So anyway, so that's the business.
So once you got out of the restaurant, so Checkers, and then you went to Blimpie's.
No, then I got a real job. I started working at Multi-Ed Services, I started in sales and sales leadership out of college. Did that for 10 years. Okay. And the real estate transition really happens about a year after college. So I lived at home because I'm cheap and I was saving money.
You're efficient.
No, I'm cheap. But anyway, so I bought my first duplex when I was 21.
How'd you buy it? What was the deal?
It was $57,000. I still own it today. Let's see, I'm 21, 58. So that's 37 years ago. Okay. I bought this duplex.
How'd you buy it?
Put down 20%.
You actually put 20%?
Yeah, I know. Very traditional financing. Hard to believe these days. I actually put money into a deal, but had a tenant. Yeah. He was a mail carrier. Guy lived on the lower level, and I had a roommate, Scott, who was paid half of what rent was, half of what utilities were, and half of what the beer cost was. So, it was like, I joke, it was my best investment of all time. I lived basically for free. Yeah. So like your mom and dad, when I saw their story, your mom and dad's first real estate investment was their duplex. One of my current business partners, Brad, his first real estate investment was a duplex. Yep. My oldest son, bought his first duplex recently. So that's kind of my life lesson to people who want to get into the real estate game, whether they understand that or not. Just buy a duplex. Yeah. Live in half of it, rent out the other half, decide if you actually want to be a landlord.
Well, you take half the risk, right? Because like you said, you had a roommate too, right? Yeah. So you almost had like a duplex and a duplex, right? You had like a roommate and a roommate. Interesting. One of my son's hockey coaches, he came over for Sunday supper and was talking about buying a house. And I'm like, you're single, you have no kids, like duplex all day long. And he's like, what? And so, we rolled out the whiteboard, right? Because if you don't know, I have a mobile whiteboard in my house. And so we started doing the math, and he goes, but then what if my side, and he went straight there. He goes, okay, we just did another side, and this is what you're paying in rent now. Right. And then we said, and if you could, get a 2-bedroom, you could maybe have a home office. He goes, or I can get another roommate. I'm like, yeah. And then he started doing that math. And then he did the depreciation, the write-off. He goes, oh, I'm like, yeah, this is the piece you're missing. Yeah. And so, no, it's interesting. I'm always like, no kids, duplex, fourplex.
Yep.
Like,
keep it. Again, I'm not a financing expert when it comes to the FHA sort of stuff, but fourplexes and under, you can buy them like a traditional mortgage and stuff like that. So if you're just getting started, that's the way to go that I recommend to all young people. I mean, my business partner, Brad, and I today, the last 5 years, we host a real estate meetup. Called the Midwest REI in Peoria. And we have a speaker come every month the last 5 years to talk specifically on real estate. We have 60 to 80 attendees. And the goal there was really to give back into the real estate space. for folks who are trying to learn it. And again, that's some of our continual lesson is just start simple, see if you really like it, and then kind of move from there.
And then move into it. Yeah. And that meetup, we'll put a link in the show notes for people who want to follow it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because you actually broadcast the meetings live.
Yeah, Facebook Live.
From the Facebook Live. So that's always great. If you're not in Peoria, you can still come and look at that. And I actually love meetups, and I go when I can in town. I think the last time I was there, the power went out. I took all the power down.
You take all the energy out of the room.
All the energy out of the room and put it in there. But no, but what I like about that meetup is you also get deals from that in terms of like the networking and opportunities, right? Like people come to you and say, hey, I know about this deal. I know about this property.
Well, yeah, right? I mean, Brad and I certainly...
It's not the intent.
Yeah, it's not the goal. You know, we certainly get stuff when people, you know, say, hey, there's an opportunity here. Are you guys interested? So it does sometimes get us the first look at things, off-market opportunities and stuff like that.
Awesome.
But,
so let's go back to simplicity.
I know, we're go back to simplicity.
Go back to simplicity. So you now have bought your first duplex.
I bought my first duplex. I have a real job. I'm a sales rep for multi-ad, selling marketing services and printing and stuff.
Parents are happy you have moved out of the house.
Sure. Yeah, they're happy I moved out of the house. My mom and stepdad,
Did it come with a tenant, like a tenant?
Yeah, he was there. Yeah, the mail carrier guy, he was there.
Yeah, and then you brought a roommate with you.
I brought my buddy from high school.
Okay, and then where'd you go from there?
Fast forward to the next deal, if you will. We don't have to get into every single deal, but the next deal was a lady that I worked with at multi-ad. She was in our graphics design area. Yeah. Her husband ran the local civic corral, and they owned a duplex and a little bitty house in Peoria. And I'm like 22-ish years old, so I still have no money. Yeah. And they're like, hey, would you like, they must have known I owned real estate. I must have talked about it. And she was like, hey, would you like to buy our duplex and our house? I'm like, I don't have any money to buy your duplex in this house. Yeah. And so we kind of, again, this was way before house hacking and way before all these podcast things and stuff like that. You know, back in the 80s. Or 90s at this point.
Good old-fashioned conversation.
Good old-fashioned. I should talk to people. So we decided to do a contract for deed. So I gave them a little bit of money down, took on the duplex and took on the house, and then they moved out of town. So that was my first 2 duplexes and house, my first 5 units.
And was there a tenant in each one, or did you have to put a tenant in one?
Katie, I have no idea. Okay. That's 1,000 years ago. That's so long ago, Katie. And I still own the 2 duplexes. I no longer own the home. Okay. And an interesting kind of side story relative to financing that we were talking about earlier, right? So I've done business with one of the same bankers for probably almost 30 years now, Dean Heinzman, and he runs Fortress Bank locally. But so this duplex in this house, as I've bought stuff, and we'll get into the journey, but as I bought properties along the way, as a great real estate investor would do, I've leveraged the equity from those 2 properties over and over and almost infinity over and over again. Yeah. And again, just as part of the overall collateral piece that you give to the bank. Late last year, I finally paid off the 2 duplexes. Like I finally, because again, they had been leveraged and leveraged. And I'm like, I owed like 10 grand or something like that. I'm like, I'm just going to pay these off. And Dean was, it was just a funny story, right? Yeah. I had these leveraged forever.
I was thinking when you said leverage, you were just taking the equity you had. You meant you put another mortgage on it, took that money, put it down,
Yeah. It's just part of the bigger portfolio.
It's the game.
It's just part of it's Monopoly.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Was Dean like?
It's just a funny story because we've been, working together for so many deals for so long.
Bless Dean. He's like, put up with you for that long. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So, and Dean was pretty instrumental in a pivotal point where you started, because you kept acquiring, right?
Yeah. So I had at one
you're working
point,
full time.
I'm working full time. I've got the 2 Blimpie restaurants with another business partner.
Oh, you still have the Blimpies?
I have the Blimpies in my mid 20s. And then I had 39 units, 2 duplexes, a house, a 4-plex, a 12-plex, and a 17 unit.
So you went from the duplexes and you're like, let's go more dense. Let's go to
I'm very dense. Yeah, so we got more dense. So anyway, so I had those 39 units, I think it was, and I went to refinance them. And Dean, back in the day, worked for a whole different bank. He said, Mike, I'd love to refinance these for you, but you're busy. You need to get a professional property manager. Because again, at the time, I'm painting, I'm cleaning toilets, I'm renting, I'm paying the bills, I'm collecting the rent, I'm doing everything. And I'm a sales manager or VP of sales at multi-ad, and we're running a couple Blimpie restaurants on the side. And I think at about that time, I got married to Lori. So all of this kind of was going on simultaneously.
To get married.
No kids, no kids, no sleep. So yeah, so Dean said, hey, you need to find a professional property manager to manage these 39 units, or I can't refinance these things for you. So that's
how me help you. Is that what he said?
Yeah. So I ended up with, the godfather of property management in Peoria. Tim Shea is just a local guy. He's 20 years older than I am. And he's still in the real estate game. And one of his proteges, Chuck, was my age. And so we were in our 20s. And so he took over the property management. And I like to say that Tim said he went and looked at all of my properties. And he said, hey, Mike, we're only going to need $100,000 to bring these things all up to current standards so I can do these. And I'm like, Tim, I don't have $100,000 to save my life.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. So we just kind of moved on, and he took over management, and we did things, out of cash flow over time. But then kind of fast forward from a real estate perspective. I think
and in your mind, you probably are like, 100,000 for what? They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah, they're fine. They're all rented, Tim. Leave me alone. So then fast forward to 2006, and Tim and Chuck were managing my 39 units, and I was...
this is Chuck Sellers.
Chuck Sellers.
Okay.
Yeah, Chuck Sellers. Yeah. And so they were managing my stuff, and Chuck calls me one day, and he goes, hey, would you like to buy this 94-unit apartment building called Patrician, which we renamed to Hillcrest, on Allen Road? And I'm like, well, how much is it? He goes, it's like $3.5 million. I'm like, Chuck, I don't have $600,000 to put down on this property. He goes, no, idiot. We're going to put a group of us, like 4 of us together, and we're going to buy this property. So that was my first endeavor into an LLC group of people investing in real estate. So that's kind of, I went from my 39 units, we added those 94 units. And then as that group, we added another property, and then those groups morphed over time. I bought more stuff. I have 112 units here, did a small syndication for 165 units over there. Like I said earlier, I've had 14 or 1,500 different units in the apartment space over the years while I was working. When I was 50, I quit I W-2 retired and just doing the real estate full time, and met you along the way in terms of suckering me. Getting me into the commercial ownership space, and some other crazy development deals with multiple stacks of financing and stuff like that. So it's been an incredible journey, and a lot of lessons along the way.
Yeah. So let's dig into a little bit of those lessons. So your first partnership that Chuck called and asked you to come in, there were, you said, like 4 to 6 people in there?
I think there were 5 of us. Yeah.
Okay. Were you, you're never silent, but were you a silent partner in that? Or were you active? Did you do any of the day-to-day?
Chuck managed it from a day-to-day operations perspective, but I would say as you know, you're not silent. I'm an alpha in terms of opinions. Yeah. But the property went really well. The partnership went really well. We had it for, and again, this was his interest, long story, but the interest rates were going down. We never changed our payment. I think we paid the thing off in like 15 years. Oh, wow. So we had this asset that was 100% paid off. We had some disagreements among the partnership in terms of how we want to leverage that equity. Yeah. I wanted to put it to work. The other partners just wanted to cash flow out of it. So we ended up selling it so everybody can kind of go on their way and stuff like that. But it was a great relationship for probably 15 years, something like that.
Oh, that's awesome. With that, like you mentioned, there's all the times, you have multiple people. Everybody's going to have different needs, different wants, and they're at different points in their life. 15 years is a long time to have a partnership be running in that and doing well. So that's awesome. And then,
unless you're married, because Lori and I are 30 years, and it's been a great 30 years.
That's right.
So that's not a long time. Yeah, that's right. Lori is a saint. Yes.
Lori's a saint. All right. So then step into like we met.
Yes. So where it started to go downhill.
So you want to tee up that story of how we met. So you're doing
you want me to call you the adult supervision.
Yes, because I love that line. Okay. I feel like I am the adult supervision all the time in this. So you were remodeling your now house on Grandview.
Oh no, we met before that.
I thought that's when Ray was doing
we met on the 1009 property.
Well, actually, you tried to meet on my Cooperage property.
Yeah, that's a different story. But,
okay. All right. So we'll stay focused.
So anyway, so how we met originally was there was an old building downtown that an electrician that I had worked with on some stuff said, hey, would you be interested in investing in this downtown redevelopment project? And I said, I'll look at anything. I'll take a look at any investment, talk to anybody about in a particular investment, especially in Peoria, Illinois, because I'm very proud of Peoria and want to give back when we can. So I met with the developer, Casey, on a Saturday morning. And I always have a lot of business questions, and Casey was a developer and he's a contractor and he's a great guy, but he's probably wasn't as business orientated back then. And so
and it was his first one.
Yeah, it's his first big deal.
Yeah.
So I asked him a lot of business questions and he's like, I don't know. We're going to have to ask Katie. I don't know. We're going to have to ask Katie. I said, well, then I need to officially meet Katie so I can ask her all these questions. And when we met, I said, you were the adult supervision for Casey for that particular project. So
that was, they qualify that.
Yeah, for that particular project. So then we both, you and I both invested in that, and we ended up selling it to some of the original investors 3 or 4 years later, and it, everybody made out well on that, and it was a fun project. Again, an opportunity to have a redevelopment in downtown Peoria.
Yeah.
But
when that went well.
What's that?
Went well.
It went very well.
It went well. And then when you started to progress, because then we started to do a couple other deals together, and as you left your W-2 job, you took on your first, is that your first syndication that you led up?
Oh yeah, I think we've only done a couple of small syndications. So basically I left working in spring of whatever year that would have been.
March 2nd.
Yeah, it was March 2nd of 8 years ago, whatever that is. So
is it that long ago?
Yes. So anyway, so 8 years ago. I was 50 and I'm 58 now.
Okay.
So then in September, I bought a 165 unit with I think 4 or 5 investors that were part of that deal, and
I got kicked out because I was too slow to say yes.
You didn't say yes fast enough, so I brought in somebody faster. And
it's fine.
Yeah, better. Anyway, so long story short, it was a...
So you're retired, and then you take on...
Well, as my sister likes to say, I was unemployed.
I
got a billion properties and a billion things, but I'm unemployed. But no, that's, I just wanted to do real estate because that was really a passion after being in sales and sales leadership for 30 some years.
Well, it's natural for you.
Yeah.
Because you look at deals and how do you create that win-win and get across the finish line.
Yeah. So anyway, bought the thing, did not do very good due diligence. So learned.
What do you mean by that?
Did not walk every unit. I would never buy a property again without walking every unit. So
because you've been in the game for years now at this point.
Yeah, but while I worked, all of my stuff was managed by a third-party property management company. So I basically focused on marriage, kids, W-2 work, and then bought stuff almost like playing Monopoly on the side. It was more of a long-term investment strategy.
Yeah.
And just over time, that got large enough that it was a place where we could focus on that.
Yeah.
My wife has always had a job. She's a nurse practitioner, diabetes educator. Lori is very passionate and a very caring person in terms of that for people. Where I'm more, she's patient. She has me as a husband. Where I'm more deal focused.
Yeah.
Whether that's on the sales side of things or sales leadership side or in the real estate space.
Yep.
So.
No, I asked that question because I feel like you can never have enough due diligence questions and tasks.
Yes.
Like every deal you learn like, well, why didn't I think of doing that or this? And it's never the oh shit until it's the oh shit.
I learned on that particular deal that the previous owner, I don't want to use the word fraud, but let's just say she wasn't forthcoming with all of the information. And 6 days before closing, 6 days,
okay,
it was a Saturday, and we were closing on the following Friday, I discovered that not 18 vacancies out of 165 units, which was a reasonable number.
Yeah, 18%.
It would be 10%.
18 out
of 165.
Oh, 165. Okay.
I'll help you with the math.
Oh, I thought you said 100. So
anyway, so I discovered on that Saturday that there were 50 vacancies.
And they all just moved out at the end of the last month.
No, yeah, that's according to her. No, she just had lied the entire process. Again, shame on me. Shame on me for not doing due diligence in terms of walking every unit. And so, again, I take full responsibility, but...
And I was not your agent on
it was a short sale. So the bank, we went to closing on Friday, and they knew this well before we got to closing, but we were not going to close the deal unless they basically wrote us a 6-figure check for the deceit from the current owner. So we got that done. It was like an 8-hour closing. April from Fortress
Is that
Bank.
your longest closing?
Yes, that would be the longest closing in record.
Okay.
I think it would cumulatively be more than most of the closings added up. But yeah, the CEO from the bank was there, and she, just had no idea what was happening. But we did close, and then it was 29 months of knock down, drag out, turn this property around, and then anyway, yeah, we bought it in fall of 18. Then COVID hits in spring of 20, and we had just kind of turned the corner in terms of the tenant base and cash flow, and everything was going really well. And then COVID hits, and that became a nightmare. And then my sister actually came on board to help me kind of right size from the tenant stuff, collections, and getting money from different agencies and states and stuff like that. So
yeah, and you and your sister work really well together.
Yeah, she worked for me for a few years, and now she's done property management for another local company in town. Yeah. So yeah, that's going really well.
So when you were turning it around, you were boots on the ground full time. I mean, I remember you were in Bloomington.
That was 60 hours a week, every day, fighting off whatever issues. Again, if I had to do it over again, I would have put more resources to bear. Because again, sometimes when you start digging the hole, you think you need a 3x3 hole dug. Yeah. So I grab a shovel. I needed a 100 by 100 hole dug, so I should have hired somebody with an excavator to help. As an analogy.
That's a good analogy.
But we got through it.
You don't know how deep the hole is.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I mean, I had both. I had other folks in real estate space call me nuts for buying it, which motivates me sometimes.
Always.
So, but we 29 months later, we got it turned around. We got it right sized, and I think it was February of 21. We sold it to a big real estate company out of Florida, and was glad to see that in my rearview mirror, as they say. So
yeah. Well, and that COVID kind of was the oh my God, what do we do right now? Who's going to pay rent? How are these, and then for some people, it turned out to be really good with the interest rates dropping. They sold some of their assets.
We sold some stuff stuff, other stuff along the way that another developer, Mark, and I had built with some other folks. And then, at the same time, then you and I started working on some more projects. We did the condo development, the Keller Station development. I met my current main business partner, if you will, Brad.
I love this conversation. Yeah. So this, let me set the stage for this one. Because I remember my aunt was selling. So my grandma during that time frame had passed away, and her estate had gone to my aunts and uncles, right? And there was an apartment building complex.
24 units and 2 duplexes to be exact.
24, yeah. Well, because you kept, what else you got in the portfolio? And I remember growing up at Tanglewood, that we called it Lot 1 on those apartment buildings. So I knew very much. And so she wanted to sell and move on. And I remember, was it you or Brad saying your math isn't right?
That was me. So I basically called you because you had the property listed for sale. I
was a real estate agent on this deal. Yes.
Yeah, you were the broker on the deal. And I called you and said, Katie, you're never going to get this thing sold the way you have it positioned.
I think you said your math was wrong.
Well, it is often.
And then I said, okay. And
so I came into your office.
Come in and teach me is what I said.
So then we went to your whiteboard, which I now own.
Yes.
That
whiteboard was
infamous
really for you,
whiteboard.
So we could do our
and we did the math. I did it right. You did it wrong. And I said, here's how you should position this. And I said, here's how much I would pay for this.
And I think, and let me pause, because I think I said, and this is what I showed her I think it will go for. And it was pretty similar.
Yeah.
I said, and you're like, well, why didn't you do it for that? I'm like, well, she wanted to list it for this. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So anyway, you said to me, well, can I present that? I'm like, and I was in the midst of this 165 units giant project.
Yes.
And I had no capacity for consuming anything else.
I believe the word you said was, I'm not buying anything this year.
Yes, I'm not buying anything.
It was on repeat. It was your I'm not buying anything. I'm not buying anything. I'm not buying anything. Okay.
Yeah. So then I said to you what I thought the numbers.
You walked out of my office.
I don't remember that.
I do. You walked out of my office, you're like, I'm not buying anything. And then you walk back in and you go, you think she'll take that? And I was like, I don't know. And you go, the only way I will buy this is.
Yes, and it was a crazy kind of Mike deal. I'm known for a kind of crazy Mike offers. And with the minor modification, your aunt said yes.
Yeah.
And I was like a dog that caught the car. I don't really want this car.
Well, I think you called Brad literally at the red table.
Did I?
Because remember, I had that red table that was high. And you're like, okay, because you came back and you're like, this is how I'll do it in the back of the napkin math. And then you're like, hold on. You open the phone and you go to Brad. You'd be like, okay, I'm doing the math with Katie. And I hear on the other side, like, okay. And he'd be like, what about this? Are you be interested? And he was like, yeah, that. Yeah. He goes, okay. And then you're like, right up the offer.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awesome because it's like, put the offer in. Yeah. The worst she can say is no, right? The best she can say is yes. And then again,
so when we got this deal, so Brad and I had met along the way.
Yeah.
Tangentially through different folks and stuff like that. So we hadn't done any deals yet.
No.
So
and Brad had what, like 13? He had 13 duplexes.
He probably had 40 or 50 units at the time. Yeah. And he was kind of getting back into the real estate space. His journey is a very similar. Bought a duplex. He's 44, 45 years old now. Young. And so he's just a child. Anyway, so yeah. So I basically have this 165 units that I am exhausted with, and I made a crazy offer to your aunt, and she said yes. And I don't really want to own this thing, so I called Brad. I go, you want in? You can have half. I don't have time. You can have half. So that was really the genesis of my, this current relationship with Brad. And right, so we bought the 24 units. Brad had one of the duplexes sold to a friend of his before we closed. Yeah. We did the walkthrough together, kind of with the new buy, anyway. So then
was that Sandeep? Did Sandeep?
No, that was Andy Zeke. Okay. So anyway, so then I think a year or so later, we bought this deal, and Brad was like, this deal does not. He even said this deal doesn't make sense. It doesn't pencil out because Brad, like you, likes to do big, long.
What deal? The deals that he does.
The Tanglewood deal. No, the Brad likes to do big, long, like you, complex math, spreadsheets, and I like back of the envelope math.
So that's where you have your partnership.
Yeah. I might know, Brad, this will work. Yeah. There's absolutely no way this won't work. We raise the rents a little bit, we're good to go. We buy it. A year later,
because you did some seller financing on that deal
with your aunt, yeah.
Yeah, and you put some in.
We put money in. We did some seller finance. We didn't have a lot of money in. We maybe had $70,000 into this $1.some million deal.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It might. Anyway.
Yeah.
So then we
details.
Then another bigger real estate firm out of Champaign calls me one day and says, "Hey, you got this 24 units down the street from this other property that we own. We need more properties in Peoria." So, because we have a property management group over here, we just need more stuff for. Could you sell this thing? I'm like, sure. And I made them a crazy sell number. Mike sales price.
Sale offer.
Yeah. And they said yes. So we sold it. And then we took that 70 or 35 grand, whatever it was we had in the original deal for the 28 units. And then we've leveraged that up to several more hundred units.
Yeah.
In the last few years. So
it's all about the leverage.
It's all about leverage. Yep. And, and again,
in terms.
One of the things I'm known for is, the least amount of capital in a deal possible. One of my funny Dean stories is we had a seller offer us 20% seller carryback. And I went to the bank and I said to Dean, well, I'm getting 20% carryback on this deal. Mm-hmm. I only need to borrow 80% from you. And then I'm 100% in. And he kind of looked at me like, I hate you.
I feel like we
and no
for therapy over here.
And and it actually appraised for more than we bought it for and as well. But he's like, can I get you to put in 5%? So we agreed to put in 5%. And after all of the closing back and forth, prorations and stuff, it ended up costing us 2.3%
Wait, is
of
this
the
the
deal.
Portfolio deal?
This is your parent.
Okay.
Yeah, this is your parents.
I was going to say, I tell that when I was like, yeah, they have 15% in. They were going to do 5%, but with all the credits, prorations, everything, I think it was like 2.3%.
2.3%. Yeah, it was like 2.3%. Yeah. So yeah, we got our cash back out of that within 12 months. So that was, as I like to say, an infinite return on our investment.
When you
deal.
have no money in, it's
So anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's been a.
And that you do with partners too.
There's three of us: Brad, myself, and Kevin. Mm-hmm. And Kevin has been a partner of mine, along the way for some small real estate deals and stuff like that as well. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, over this journey from 1991 to today, right? I've been part of either owned individually or small groups of people or a very small syndication. I think it's almost 1,500 apartment units.
Oh, wow.
Today we have like 500 left.
Yeah.
And a couple 100,000 square feet of commercial space. Mm-hmm. So it's giant monopoly. Mm-hmm. It's giant monopoly.
Are you loving it still?
Love it. Yeah.
Because you're retired, right?
Unemployed, according to my sister.
Unemployable.
I am unemployable. Yeah.
So with your partners that you've had over the years, what do you look for in a partner?
I don't know that.
Besides amazing brains, because you're partners with me.
Well, I would say at the very beginning, there's no criteria. There wasn't a very thoughtful hey, I need to make sure my partners do X. At the very beginning, going back to 2006 when Chuck and I and a couple other guys got together, Chuck was the property manager. So it was nice that one of the partners was the person who was going to be the professional property manager, because I had a real job. That was, selling and stuff like that and leadership. So I did that.
Well, and that was like,
we had a couple guys
to the table, right? So it was like, you didn't really get to pick and choose that, right? So but you kept continuing to put yourself in a position to let people know, like, you're interested in deals. And
I do syndications now, right? Where we invest in other people's syndications. We'll buy stuff by ourselves. I'm not interested in doing 25 different people in any sort of partnership necessarily. 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right. And at this point, it's 2 or 3 people like yourself and Brad and Kevin and Joe and a few others that we have long 20, 30-year relationships with these folks. Yeah. And all of us bring similar but different stuff to the table, right? I do the math correctly. We still yet to figure out your math.
Yeah.
So, and a few others we have long 20, 30-year relationships with these folks. Yeah. And all of us bring similar but different stuff to the table, right? I do the math correctly. We still yet to figure out your math.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so I don't know that I'm very prescriptive.
Brad's giving me love when he's listening.
And Brad is way more operational than I could ever hope to be.
Yeah.
We're both sales professionals and leadership guys, but Brad's a more operator than I'm, probably more of a visionary. Again, I'll let somebody else give me that credit or not that credit.
Well, and what I love about, and you may need to just close your ears for a second because I'll compliment you here, but like what I love about when you go into partnerships is that what I see when you put together is complementary skills and alignment in terms of, like, at the end of the day, we want this. All of us want this, whatever that is. Like when you put together KBM, right? So it was you, Brad, and Kevin. Yep. It was really, I loved watching it from afar because I was invited into that deal and I said no because it was too close, but to family. But the way you guys handled decisions, not one of you came in and just bulldozed. It was like, let's check with everybody. Like you were really great at making sure everybody had a say and input into the conversation.
I mean, Kevin and I go back to 2008. Yeah. Brad and I, for 5 years or something like that. And so it's a very, all of the partnerships that I'm in are all collaborative in nature. Yeah. We all communicate often. And we all have our opinions.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like a good marriage, right? You have a different perspective on things. And I am hopeful that from those different perspectives, we can come up with a better 1 + 1 + 1 = 10.
Yes.
Sort of answer to the math question of what do we do with this? How do we do this? How do we approach this?
How do you pivot?
I've invited Kevin. I hate to say the word invited, but Kevin's come into some of the deals that I've been part of because Kevin is very inquisitive. Mm-hmm. He asks a lot of great questions.
Yeah.
And, it's really good to have a business partner who asks a lot of great questions.
Yes.
Right? Because I can't always see, you can't always see all of the forest because of the tree. So I think it's good having different perspectives and context brought to the table with people that you like.
Yeah. And with different scars, right? Like you said, with the 165 unit, like you'll never buy another apartment building without going through every single unit.
Yes.
Right. So you have that scar.
No more Dane damaging projects. No more brain damaging projects. I'm too old.
Okay. So your criteria now with investors is, know, like, and trust you, bring a different perspective, look at things differently.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't imagine at this stage there'll be net new investors unless I'm unless I'm
doing the deal.
Unless I'm putting money into somebody else's syndication sort of deal. I mean, I think at this point, there's a core group of people that I'm going to work with, whether it's you, or whether it's Brad, or whether it's Kevin, or whether it's Joe. Those are probably the core real estate people that we've all grown up together in this space kind of deal. And Brad loves this story. So after I sold the 165 units, so I was consumed with that for 29 months.
Yeah.
And
that was all encompassing.
Yes, it was all encompassing. And so all of my other stuff was being managed by a third-party property management organization. And we sold some of that in 21, 22 as well, that I was partners with, and I still had some of my units. And then Brad and I were doing stuff together. And let's just say the property management organization was not performing to an acceptable level that I wanted the properties to perform at.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And so
It's very PC.
I basically said to Brad, we have two options.
Ooh.
They're not going to manage our properties anymore. So either we're going to sell everything or we're going to start our own property management company. So go in reverse, if you will, to 3.5 years ago. Brad kind of kicking and screaming. We started our own property management company called Acceleration Properties. So for the last 3 years,
and I think I remember at that time being like, "You're doing what? Like, why?"
It was out of necessity.
It was out of, but that's what I'm saying is it was okay. This is not in a pattern that you've done before. So like, what's the reason? What's the?
It was out of necessity. It was
Yeah,
either sell everything or we're going to have to go do our own thing for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3.5 years ago, we started our own property management company. Got our own employees. You know, our whole entire staff of 15 people or 12,
Wow.
10. I don't know. It's ranged, changed
ebbs
along,
and
and flows in terms of number of employees. And that was never our long-term strategy, was to be property managers. But we only managed our own stuff. We're not brokers. We're never going to manage for others.
Yeah, smart.
And we're blessed in that probably 9 months ago, there's an organization in another city locally who wanted to move into Peoria. Mm-hmm. And we worked together with them over the last 6 months to...
Did they approach you or you approached them?
They approached us.
Okay.
Yeah, they wanted to be in Peoria.
Okay.
They wanted to have a property management business in Peoria. They're 8 times larger than us in Bloomington Normal.
Oh, wow.
And they've been around for 53 years. It's Young America Realty. So they actually came over, and literally Monday of this week, so 3 days ago, today's Wednesday, they officially own our property management company. Our employees are now their employees. So that creates some level of relief, if you will, on the day-to-day transactional pieces of managing the business, that part of our business. Mm-hmm. It also will give Brad and I the ability to scale and do more stuff. We were really tapped out. We didn't want to manage 1,000 units and have that many employees. Yeah, that really wasn't our core competency. Yeah, we're really good. We're really good at deals, deal structure, finding opportunities, vetting those opportunities, taking those opportunities from beginning to end, sort of thing. So we're really good at that. So we can focus on that a little bit more and go find other opportunities, do other deals, whether it's residential, whether it's commercial, whether it's something else that we haven't thought about yet. So yeah.
So and that was a question I was going to ask. So you went into the property management out of necessity.
Yes.
And so now, as you're coming out of it, and
as of 3 days ago.
So this is a fresh question that you may not have thought about, or may have. I'm sure you have. Is what information, because somebody managed it before, right? So what are some questions that you went into vetting Young America to doing this, and what are your criteria of like, I got to know this so I can sleep at night?
So what are my key performance indicators? What are my KPIs?
What are your KPIs?
Yeah, you know, I know you're a consultant by trade, so you know I'm
all acronyms all the time.
All KPI all the time. So I would say for your first question, what was the criteria? So Young America and their leadership and their team, for everybody we've met, they're very aligned with Brad and I from an operational perspective. Care and love of employees, care of the tenants, right? We're a very empathetic is the wrong term, but probably an appropriate direction of landlord. We're not kicking Susie out for being late by one day. We want to understand what's going on with Susie to see how we can help. Yeah. Same thing with our employees. We have care for our team. We have care for our people. They're just well aligned with our beliefs.
Your values.
Our values and our beliefs is really what they're well aligned with. Brad and I think we built a very a B plus property management organization in Central Illinois.
Brad did great with systems.
And Brad is a systems guy. Yes, Brad is. We'll give Brad credit. We have 14 hours of history of just the whole property management side of things. Yeah. But then, they're aligned with our beliefs. They're aligned with our core values. They bring 53 years of experience, where we had 3 years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
They're 8 times as large as we are. Their processes, their procedures, their way they go from point A to point B is better than ours.
Yeah.
You know, we got sometimes from point A to point B through grit.
Yeah.
You know, and just having really good teams and really good people to move us through that, and really a focus on customer service at the core company. So and then back to your KPI question, your key performance indicators.
Yeah.
You know, the things that we look at are, you know, again, really easy in the rental space. You know, turnover frequency. You know, delinquencies, rent collected. Where are we at market rent? How are we in terms of vacancies? I mean, of our 500 units, I think a few months ago, we were down to 2 vacant units. So that's a pretty high bar that we've set for others. So Brad and I are both sales driven, performance driven, goal driven people.
Yeah.
So we drove our team that way. So we'll drive Young America to perform, but they have the skills to be able to do that.
So do you have that, like, we're going to meet each month and do this? Are you and Brad set up in that? Like, have you got your cadence yet?
No.
Yet? Okay.
We do not. Okay. Yeah, we don't have our cadence yet.
Okay.
So.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
Because I always think,
me too.
When you when you turn over something that you took over, it was not pretty. Let's just put it that way. It was not pretty when you took it over. You got it pretty, are good, as you said, and then now you're having somebody else make it, you know, turn it into even better because there are systems and process and stuff. So,
well, one of the things, you know, in listening to some of your podcasts, right? One of them, I think Leah was her name. She talked about legacy and transition of business. Yeah. And one of the things Brad and I have to do in this transition, because we were both very hands-on in the operations of our property management company. Yeah. We have to intentionally remove ourselves from those thoughts. So, you know, when you were talking to Leah, she talked about, you know, you leave the old owner on as a board of directors member. They want to do things, you know, they own an HVAC business. They're really into trucks and into tools. The new person is into, you know, artificial intelligence and customer service and call centers. And there's a disconnect, right? Yeah. And so, you know, you put that person in, it slows down the new owner's ability and their vision. Yeah. So Brad and I have to do the same thing with Young America. We have to step away and let them be the new coaches, be the new general managers of the sports team, if you will. So, and then let us go do the things that we want to do, which is do the deals, find the opportunities, and then bring them to put their processes, procedures, and people in place to run stuff better than we even run it. So if we were to B plus, and I'm a pretty hard grader, I think we're probably an A minus, but we'll go B plus. They can get us to an A plus. Yeah. Taking our people, taking our properties, and taking their processes.
I like that because, as you know, like that property management piece, it takes more time to do it correctly than anyone can ever explain to you.
It's easy, Katie. Especially on the commercial side. Property management commercial side is easy.
Right. Because it's the relationship. You want to make sure the quality's there because happy tenants stay and less turnover, less cost, right? Yep. And all those things. So I like that. Really, I mean, you grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So, I mean, it was. I
would not say grew up in an entrepreneurial family.
You don't think so?
No, my dad was a fireman.
Yeah.
Killed in the line of duty when I was 15. My mom was a secretary. And so, yeah, we came from very, very humble beginnings. I would say...
Ice cream was your father-in-law.
My stepdad. My stepdad wasn't even necessarily entrepreneurial. My stepdad is just one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life. The guy literally on his 45th birthday ran 45 miles.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so... My stepbrother and I rode bicycles with him for each of us half of that. We're in high school and we're athletes and we about died. And he's running this 45 miles. So my stepdad is just the epitome of grit and the ability to get from point A to point B under all circumstances. So 87 years old, still goes to the gym every day at 5 a.m.
He still goes to CXT often too.
Yes. And he does go to CXT. But yeah, they weren't necessarily entrepreneurial. My mom certainly was not. My stepdad was by accident because they shut down Paps in Peoria, and he bought the ice cream place to have a job,
something to do,
and did other stuff along the way. So that's really the first time that I ever saw somebody, a family member, in business.
Okay,
was all the way back to when I was 13 when they bought the ice cream place.
So what lit the fire under you?
I have no idea. I think,
Okay.
I've never laid on a couch somewhere and had a psychologist. How did I get from
I don't
that?
have time to get into your
I know
brain.
we don't have time.
Yeah,
Yes.
no.
To being an entrepreneur, I don't know. I think I'm super competitive.
Really?
Yes, super competitive, goal driven.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had a job. I had a W-2 job from 21 to 50.
Yeah.
I had a couple of different restaurant things along the way. I bought real estate almost by accident, and then discovered delayed gratification. Again, one of my biggest lessons I'll tell young people is delayed gratification, right? So, Lori worked. She did that. We had the boys. I had my W-2 job, and the real estate was really almost ancillary to everything else. It was just more of a safety net.
This is something for the future.
It's something for retirement. It's something for the future. And it grew over time.
Yeah.
And I'm passionate about it, and I like it.
Because people ask me that time, and yes, I saw my parents work. I mean, my parents always had 2-3 jobs working. It was something like we just didn't know anything different. You just didn't want to be bored. So you'd start another business. And like I did web design in high school because I was like, oh, this looks fun. I can do it. And somebody will pay me to do it. And like sold coloring books.
Katie, when I was in high school, there was no World Wide Web.
Yeah, there was electricity that had to be cranked and stuff, right? Yeah. No, it was literally, I remember I was sitting there and one of our family friends who did like the embroidered sportswear stuff, she was like, yeah, I guess I need this website thing. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then I did her website, and then the school superintendent came to me and Doc was like, hey, can you do our website for the school? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I did like the calendar sport event, and it just kept growing of people. And I'm like, I'm going to college. So I just stopped it. And then, I had 3 jobs through college. So it was, when people are like, you grew up with it, I'm like, I grew up seeing hard work. Then you kind of start learning the game, and there's like different tools and different things you can use, and you start to learn leverage. And I know some people don't like to go into partnerships, which is why I asked you about like, what do you look for in your partnerships? I enjoy it because people bring a different perspective and they bring different scars. And I've mentioned this publicly before, so I mean, I can't take it back, but I really like being in a partnership with you. Because, and I know I'm complimenting you, but like,
keep going.
I know it's hard for me to get it out a little bit, but you dig in and you come from a collaboration standpoint to like, okay, this is crap, whatever happened. How do we make it better? And you think and you ask the questions, whereas some investors that are more passive are just like, why isn't this? And they don't understand because they haven't been through the process.
Well, again, it's all partnerships are collaborative and they're not meant to be one-sided. Certainly some folks can be, the alpha of the partnership. But again, at the end of the day, any good functioning partnership needs to have communication. Again, whether it's Lori and I as a marriage, whether it's you and I as partners, Brad and I, Kevin, all of those, there needs to be communication. Again, that's the blocking and tackling part of it. And there also needs to be problem solving.
Yeah.
Because, and I stress this to all real estate, either investors or people just, passively investing their money. There's not one real estate deal in the history of man that ever went according to the plan and the spreadsheet that was presented to the bank or the partnerships.
Say it for the people in the back of the room.
At some point, there will be a tornado, which I have happened, come in and take off the top of your 12-unit apartment building.
Oh my gosh.
That you need to figure out.
Yeah.
There will be the raising of interest rates from 3% to 7% during the development, and the cost of construction goes from $10 to $15 at the same time. And you just have to put on your big boy and your big girl pants and figure it out. Because there's no recourse to just sitting on the sideline and putting your proverbial head in the sand and hoping it will take care of itself. Because what do they say? Hope is not a strategy.
Not a strategy.
And yes, and I do, I do just have that. And so do you, and so does Brad, and so do most of the people that I work with, all have the capacity to pick up the shovel and just start digging and figure it out.
Yeah.
Because it's not brains. At the same time, it's hard. It can be hard.
Yeah.
But it's not rocket science.
No.
And if there is a problem, having the relationships with the partnership, having relationships with your bankers, having relationships with resources, having relationship with the cities if you're doing collaborative business with them, having relationships with any entity or any individual who is part of that thing, whatever that is probably the most important criteria to long-term success. Because during that campaign, during that journey to Mount Everest, there's going to be a problem that you have to be able to overcome.
Yeah.
And if you can't overcome that, then you die on the mountain. And I don't want to die on the mountain.
No, that's well put. Well put. So what is, thinking of that, when you're talking about the deal never looks, I say, like, I'm going to give you this book and it's going to give you the projections and everything, and you're never going to see those exact numbers again, right? So like you said there. But what's couple questions on like risk and failure. What is the riskiest deal you ever said yes to, and why?
What's the riskiest deal?
Riskiest deal.
What's the riskiest deal?
Riskiest deal.
I don't, again, when you invest into a deal, you never at the time of investing think or perceive that it is risky.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anytime you invest your money, whether it's into a calf, to pull, to bring that story back, whether you invest in a calf to try to, to do that, it can die. So, when you go into a deal, you don't perceive that there's extreme risk, or you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Right. If you said, hey, 1 out of 10 people climbing to Mount Everest make it and the other 9 die, you're not going to climb Mount Everest.
Yes.
Right.
True.
So you don't intentionally go in with the perception that there's a chance to lose all your money.
Yeah.
But I also tell people that if you're getting into business, I like to joke, what's the least amount of money you can make if you start a business, or the least amount of money you can make if you buy a property? So what's the least amount of money, Katie?
0.
No.
But in business, you can lose money.
Infinitely less than 0, because you can lose money.
Yes.
If I start a pizza place and the pizza place generates $100,000 a year in revenue, and the pizza place cost me $120,000 to run, how much did I lose? Did I lose $0? No, I lost $20,000. So I remind folks of that. So because when you have a job, what's the least amount of money that you can lose? 0, because you can be unemployed. You can never go less than 0 on a job. Again, that's, again, in talking about risk, right? Some folks are very risk avoidant.
Yeah.
Some folks have a tolerance for risk. And there's a line, if you will, from I want to put all my money into a CD and get CD rates to I'm going to put all my money into Bitcoin or some meme stock and hope, right? I probably fall somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Maybe more a little towards the higher side. I don't think I'm risky, but other folks from the outside looking in saying you've owned all of this stuff, there's risk, but risk is calculated.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know that I'm answering your risk question specifically, other than everybody has a different perception of what risk is.
That's what I was going to summarize. Is everybody has a different risk tolerance.
Yes.
And it
even
also
Lori and
change with what stage of life you're in.
Yeah, even Lori and I have different risk tolerances. And I think having that blend as a married couple is good.
Oh, yeah.
No different than one person spends, one person saves.
And we were talking about
you get a blended
the other night. Like, we have the same kids in different areas. Well, the same thing. Charles has a different tolerance than I do. And he evaluates deals differently than I do.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks at things different. So that's why I appreciate that in a partnership, is that they look at things different. So
and that's why, I mentioned Kevin earlier. So Kevin is probably less risk tolerant than I am, but not as low risk tolerant as Lori is. Yeah. So Kevin will ask more questions sometimes, which maybe led to me see, maybe I forgot to ask this question. So again, having a partner who has some less risk tolerance than you do can be good.
Yeah.
And Brad is, and I'm more risk tolerant than Brad probably is, I would say. So I can pull Brad into things that maybe he would not have done, like buying Tanglewood and stuff like that. So again, I think having that partnership and that blend of risk tolerances, back to your question on risk, can allow the partnership to do more things than they would have maybe by themselves, or avoid things that they maybe would have done if they hadn't asked enough questions. So
I like that. And I like how you phrased it, is you're pulling that, right? Like you're pulling or pushing. There's a pull push with any partner, because you may extend yourself where you wouldn't normally do it. So you're stepping out of that comfort zone. Love that. I hate the comfort zone, but yeah. All right. So
I do want to say I got a chance to watch a bunch of your podcasts. I think you're up to 26, 27, 28 or something like that, just below 30.
At this point in time,
great work on your part in terms of bringing all of those resources to bear and for bringing those to the public and having this podcast. I think it's been a great forum for those to share their messages, for you to hear those lessons, and for you to share those lessons. So keep it up.
Oh, I appreciate
that.
And
I think if I understand correctly, that I might be the first guy that's made the cut.
Yeah, my dad and mom were the first.
Well, that doesn't.
But you're the first male, and I wanted that because I do appreciate how our partnership has grown. Because getting into this business, when I left the family company, right, and I decided to really relaunch the Kim Group, Charles at the time was working for another construction company, and I was spearheading a lot of it. And so when they say it's lonely at the top, it was like pushing through a lot of barriers. And to have somebody that comes and is like, hey, let's do this, let's collaborate, and not having to worry because you're capable and you were a great partner, like I said, coming in, it was really refreshing. So I appreciate that.
It's teamwork.
Yeah. And bringing that all to the table is something that I felt over the years. There's so many other people that want to learn the game and they don't have access to the network that we've built, right? Like you've built a great network. I've built a great network. We continue to build it because we know that there's all these things we don't know. And
I don't know anything.
A lot. And so, and that was even like what we're going to do with even our tenants at Keller Station is share what they do. Because to me, education, accessing to that next level is the way you change the game, is the way, like you said, you're pulling, you're pushing, you have different scars, different experiences.
Yeah, my wife wants me to write a book now that, I'm unemployed or W-2, but I can't write a long email. When we first got together on the 1009 building, I got the title of my book, see how you were able to take somebody's deal. I have a lot of chapters, but that's as far as I can go. And multiple stacks and organize that, bring all of the right parties together.
I had to fight to learn.
You had the patience, especially and the tenacity,
my economic
to pull all those pieces together. And I think I've said this on multiple occasions. I don't like any deal where there's the government involved. Yeah, if you want the most complicated, too complicated, it's too time consuming. They move the finish line around perpetually, and you were really good at.
He's like, yeah. He goes, that's too hard. And I thought about it. And I'm like, maybe I should diversify and get more, it's those conversations that you have that seat at the table when you have the network.
I'm just lazy, Katie.
Lazy. You're not lazy. What did we say the other day is you're not ambitious or lazy, but we talked about those people. So anyway, when you and I first started working together, what made you lean in and want to do more deals with me?
So when we first got together on the 1009 building, I got the chance to see how you were able to take a complex deal that was government involved and multiple stacks and organize that, bring all of the right parties together. You had the patience and the tenacity to pull all of those pieces together. And I think I've said this on multiple occasions. I don't like any deal where there's the government involved because it's too complicated, it's too time consuming. They move the finish line around perpetually, and you were really good at doing that. Right, where I like to focus on the deal structure, the financing, the how do we get this from point A to point B, how do we turn this building around either financially, structurally, all of that paperwork, if you will. You're really, really good at that. And I hate that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started. And then
Yeah.
moving forward into the other deals, whether it's a condo development or whether it's Keller Station that we're still involved in, just your ability to collaborate with others, you have an incredible vision. Like at Keller Station, to be able to take all those old buildings that the Park District owned and turn them into one of the, if not the most prestigious place to have your business in Central Illinois, makes me very proud to be part of that. I like to joke that when we got started at Keller Station, you were in the pilot seat and I got to sit back in first class and kind of watch you fly the plane. You left the door open, and I just yelled back, "More peanuts." And and at some point, right, you're like, "Help! I need some assistance up here." So I, jumped up into the front of the plane, and now probably more now sit in a co-pilot seat versus first class.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to get accomplished there.
There is.
Yeah. And the ability just to work together.
Yeah. And that's what I love is that you didn't hesitate to come into that the co-pilot seat in there. So it was great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sometimes I got to be in charge. Sometimes I go my plane.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, true. No, and I think that's a fun project. And that's where you really can look and see like projects like Keller Station is like, those are opportunities in my mind. I've driven by that property so many times growing up in Peoria of like, somebody do something with this. It's in great location, great opportunity, but it's complex. It's not a simple like.
No, that is a project that
value add, yeah.
Yeah. So like you tried to mention earlier, right, how I got involved in the Keller Station with you was we had already been in business for a couple other things. Yeah. I drove by that property every day as I was, coordinating the remodel of a house that Lori and I were getting ready to move into. And I drove by Keller Station and, I guess I must have been off my meds or something that day because I called you and I said, "Hey, what's the deal with this old buildings on Knoxville and Prospect?"
And you were like detailed in explaining to me where it is.
Yeah.
It's here. And I'm like,
And then you said to me, "Hey, I just came out of Emily's office, who's the president of the Park District, which is our collaboration with."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Why?" I go, "Well, I'm interested in working with you on that project. Don't call anybody else." Yep. Having never been in the building. So again, all of my trust in terms of the capability of that was 100% in your hands.
Yeah.
At that point, just based on the performance of the other things that we had done together.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And that building, if you looked from it, it was like a jungle was grown over it, right? Because it had all the vines everywhere. It was, you had to have vision. Yeah. You had to have a good amount of vision.
Yeah. So, you really took that project from beginning to where it is today.
We took it from where it is.
You were flying the plane. I was in first class yelling for more peanuts.
So
I am a sales manager.
You are. You are. And I actually, so one of the things that I had never looked at this before, and I love it. And I think it's a motivational way to look at numbers. Is that instead of saying like we have this much space vacant, is how much money are we losing each month with these spaces vacant?
Yeah, that will make your head hurt some days.
It made me bend over. Like I was like, oh my, like whoa, like I need a minute. And I remember doing the numbers for you, and I printed it out, and I got pissed. And what did it do? It lit the fire, right?
It creates, and again, this is just a lesson, right? This goes all the way back to when I had my first probably 9 units. Like I said, I was doing everything myself.
Yeah.
Keeping the books, I don't think the computer had been invented then. I'm just kidding. It was on a rock. But
you had like the book accounting thing.
I
did.
I did. The checkbook that you wrote the checks, you kept the ledger on the left side with the little thing that stayed in there. Anyway, so I would keep track of all of the lost rent. Like, okay, so this unit was down for a month. I lost $700 in rent. Yeah. And I kept that up for a couple years.
Yeah.
And I stopped it because it made my head hurt. Because at the end of the day, and maybe it forced urgency.
But I think you stopped doing it?
Yeah, because I didn't want to keep. I had too many properties that were impossible to keep track of it that. But what it does, it instills that sense of urgency to get the unit filled, right? Mm-hmm. Because If the units open in February, since it's February, if we don't rent it today and it rents March 1st, there's never an opportunity to get February's rent back. That is $1,000 of rent lost forever. Unlike if you're selling cars or whatever, you have an opportunity cost from the interest or the carrying cost on a product. Or if you're trying to sell a watch, you have inventory costs, you have carrying costs, but when you eventually sell that watch, you recoup the money for the watch.
Yeah.
You don't do that in the rental space. Once you don't rent it and you don't collect rent for that particular period of time, you can never recoup that. And so that is what drives me on the residential side, to drive my team, to drive the property managers, turn things over faster, get them rented faster, collect the rent faster. And that's what drives me on our commercial stuff and on our collective commercial stuff to get things rented.
Yeah. It's great that you position it that way, because when I saw that, I was like, I looked at it as, if we get one of these spaces rented, then that takes the pressure off of the finances over here. Or if we get this or that, and it gives you that roadmap. And for me, when you can start to see that roadmap, it's like, I got this.
It's not what?
Full.
It's not full.
Yeah. And to position it as like, that is money you never get back.
If it's not full, you're losing money you can never, ever get back.
Yeah.
Now, there are landlords who would say, if you're full, you're not doing a very good job because you're not charging enough rent. That's kind of a whole different
strategy.
That's a different conversation around vacancy rates and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you need to drive for close to full or full because, again, that's gone forever.
It's gone forever. And I like how the commodity, the product type of analogy that you did with like the watch and being able to recoup. I mean, because that's true.
Similarly, I mean,
if you sell it, you're not getting that $1,000 of rent back.
No, if I invest $1,000 in Caterpillar stock or whatever, and it's at $1,000 a share today, and it goes down to $500 a share, I didn't lose $500 yet.
Because you're not out of the game.
Because you haven't sold it.
Yeah.
So it goes back to $1,000 or up to $1,500. Okay, that's fine. That's not, that stock going down in value isn't necessarily lost forever because there's an opportunity for it to come back. But when you have a vacant whatever, it's gone forever.
It is. Yeah.
So we won't be,
it's traumatizing when you look at that number if you have some vacancies. But to me, I didn't look at that as a negative. I looked at that as a positive, and I'm like, oh, I see what Mike's getting me to look at.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a negative.
It was motivation for me. We're going to let that go on for much longer, right? Like, let's start leasing this up and it made me get even next level creative about like, how are we marketing these spaces? How are we hunting? Who are we going after? Because there's always more you can do to position yourself better, I think, in sales, always. So, okay. So to start to wrap up a little bit here, what would be your one main piece of advice to somebody who's looking to start investing in real estate today?
What would my one piece of advice be for somebody looking to invest in real estate today?
Yes.
Take action.
Ooh.
And that action could be multiple different streams of action.
Okay.
If you've never invested in real estate before, learn, right? Brad likes to tell people all the time on our Midwest REI, listen to podcasts, read books, talk to people, go consume information about this thing that you're interested in, which is investing in real estate.
Yeah.
First thing is to understand awareness, right?
Yeah.
I would say secondarily is to make sure that you are positioned well enough financially to absorb what you don't know is going to occur. To, expect the unexpected, right? So just make sure, learn.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're positioned financially. That does not mean you need to be Rockefeller and be a multi-billionaire or multi-millionaire. You just make sure that you have your blocking and tackling of your life's finances covered.
Yep.
Whether that's a W-2 job, whether that's some savings, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And then once you've kind of done those, start to look for the duplex, the fourplex. So start to meet with real estate agents and different people and understand what parts of the city that you can buy in or want to buy in. Understand what financing structures look like. Again, that's part of the knowledge. So again, knowledge, awareness, relationships. I tell people all the time, one of the first relationships or the first series of relationships that you should get before you buy anything is your bankers.
100%.
So come to the Mikes and the
you said it with
Katies.
the plural.
Bankers.
Yeah.
Bankers, right? You can have your favorites, but they might not want to do something that you want to do, or their bank might not want to do what you want to do. So you need to have a multiple string of banking relationships. You need to have some of your trusted, this sounds like a lot, but it's not. You need to have some trusted advisors, folks who are smarter than you, who have climbed Mount Everest prior to you that you can ask. What kind of clothes do I wear? Right? What kind of financing should I get? How much money do I really have to put down? What kind of property is the right kind of property to buy first? So have some of those consultative advisors, not consultants because they provide no value, not consultants, but consultative advisors. So kind of in summary, right? Make sure you understand what the heck it is. Make sure you have your finances in order. Make sure you have your relationships, including bankers and trusted advisors, kind of lined up, and then go find a deal. And one of the final ones is we like to tell people is tell everybody that I'm looking for X. So everybody knows in Central Illinois that knows Brad and I that we are real estate guys and we're looking for opportunities. And we get a lot of calls.
And you even start your REI meetup with that. Like it's almost a tagline that again, it's you're advertising, you're letting people know. So one of the things I tell people is like you need to define your buy box. And then tell everybody. I remember one time when I was like looking to hire somebody, my coach was like, you end every conversation with, and he gave me a little script. And I'm like, I'm going to end every conversation with, hey, I'm looking to invest in, real estate deals. If you know anybody who's looking to buy, sell, or, let them know. And like that was, I just, again, let everybody know because you don't know who knows who that they could have just had a conversation with, right? Which is what I call that pollinated collisions, but, big words.
Those are way too big of words for me. I went to Illinois State University. So.
But I like that.
I have never been a consultant, Katie. I had to work for a living.
Oh. All right. Okay. So what actually keeps you up at night now?
Just getting old. Just kidding. I don't think that I don't have a lot of worries. Right. And, and if, and what do they say? My worries and my problems are first world problems. So nobody cares. So I really don't have a lot that keeps me up at night. I think one of the places that Lori and I are, have the luxury to be. Is
very blessed.
We're still in a building phase, but we're also in a protective phase. So I don't worry that there's any one investment that we have done that is going to sink the Titanic. Right? I worry more about our former employees. I worry about, the relationships of my kids and the rest of the family. That's probably where I think about things. I think about what does the legacy look like and stuff like that. So I don't worry about where's the next house payment going to come from necessarily or anything like that. It's like, I worry about making sure that we are thinking about the right things and asking ourselves the right questions and bringing in the right trusted advisors for Lori and I as we navigate the next 50 years, hopefully. That'd be 108. So that's what I worry and think about at this point. And then I just worry about how can I make Katie perform better.
Love you, Mike. And you do. And like I said, that's why I appreciate you as a partner because you're always pushing me. And it reminds me a little bit of my dad when he would good was never good enough. Like if I would do 20 layups, he's like, why don't you do 25? Like, why don't you do it? And it was all out of love, right? It was all out of a place where like, I know you can do more. I know you can be better. And that's, I think, the joy of working with you as a partner is like, there's always, I know I'm going to give Mike this great news and he's going to push me to the next level. I almost am just like, wait for it. I'm like, wait for it. There it is. Okay.
And
is great.
And
it's
we're
good.
we're both wired this way in some respects.
Yeah.
We're both competitive people, and we both have the ability to see, hopefully, kind of around the next corner and what needs to be done in 6 months, in 6 years, sort of deal. So, I have, in big giant remodeling projects and big giant projects that I'm working on and we're working on, it's interesting to see what's been accomplished.
Yes.
But it's more important to see what needs to be done. Yeah. And how do we maintain that momentum, that focus? Mm-hmm. Again, no different than a team that finished last year 10-2.
Yep.
Great. Last year's over. How do we get to 12-0? Because we need to do everything we can in our power to be 12-0. Now, there can be things that are outside of our control. Our star quarterback may go down, but the next guy needs to stand up.
Yep.
Our next lady needs to stand up. So, that's where you and I think, align in terms of thinking ahead, in addition to making sure that today is taken care of. But there are a lot of people who get stuck in today, and when I sold, I was at Cisco Systems for almost 15 years, and, we were very driven, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually driven, and you had to make sure that you didn't get into deal lock, right?
What's that?
You've got this giant deal that's due to be closed at the end of the quarter. You got it. It's kind of the power of both. Or you got to get the deal done.
Yeah.
And it must close by the end of the quarter.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you need to make sure that you're preparing your next phase of business for the next quarter. Because you know what happens when the quarter's over and you close the last deal? What's the boss say to you? What's next?
Next. Yeah.
So, again, one of my other book titles is Next, right? So it's always what's next.
Yeah.
Whether that's the next deal, the next process, the next relationship, the next thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You can't get stuck.
Yeah. And you can't celebrate for too long.
No.
Like that's
there's no celebration.
There's no
allowed.
celebration. It's like, woo, yay, let's go. Because even with my kids and we both talk business with with all of our families, right? And so with my kids, I have leveraged a lot of sports analogies and business analogies with my parenting mix, right? So the therapist will have fun dealing with that later when they get older. But with Aiden, when he'll beat himself up on a game, oh, I should have done this, I should have contributed more to the team, or whatever he's on, because we all have those kids where we just look at them and you don't have to say anything. That's my Aiden, right? And I said, you need to learn the power of next. And he's like, what? And I was like, Google the sports analogy coaches, and I said, the power of somebody to forget the bad thing and focus on the next thing, that's everything. You can't dwell. Yes, you can go cry in a corner for a minute, but you can't dwell on that was shitty, that happened. Okay, next.
Yeah.
Next. And it's not, don't do the sentence, just next. The power of next is, I can't even explain it to you. And so he started to do the research and started to do something. He's like, yeah. He goes, there was some tennis player that was like, do you know how many...
It's, yes, yeah.
Did you listen to this?
I've seen the same thing. It might be Nadal. I don't remember. Yeah, but yes, where he said he's only won 51 or 2 or 3% of the points he's ever played.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact statistics, but
yeah, it was either the points of the game or whatever. And he's like, but that leads to then the match and this. And I was just sitting here, I'm like, that's a striking statistic, right? Of you're just north of 50, right? But that's all you need to win.
Yeah.
You just need to be the 1% better. And so he's now learning how to get rid of it. Declan, my youngest, who's a goalie, which talk about the mindset there, which he's got the mindset for a goalie. He has this routine after every shot. He'll go bang twice on the backboard with his stick, circle around, and he's next. So it's whatever that power of next is for you, or the rhythm. I can't stress that enough. That for me has been something I instill in my kids. But awesome. Okay, so what does success and what does your legacy look like for you right now?
I don't know that yet. That's one of the areas that I'm thinking about.
Okay.
What does that look like? Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. You don't know what you want to be when you grow up.
I'm never going to grow up.
All right. Okay.
Never going to grow up.
Yeah, that's, Lori's probably listening to saying, yep, I got that one. All right, so rapid fire.
Okay.
Okay, first thing that comes to your mind.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Okay.
So no wrong answer.
I didn't say that, but no wrong answer. Okay, first money belief you had to unlearn.
First money belief that I had to unlearn?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's an unlearned belief, but I guess the opposite of that would be delayed gratification.
Got it.
So I think, delayed gratification is one of the critical components to financial success.
Love it. Best deal you almost did not do.
Best deal I almost did not deal would be Rosemary Crossing, which was 85 homes that we bought in Pekin, Illinois.
What Mike just laid out is a way of thinking, not a tactic. Mike Gudat isn't just a guest. He's a close friend, a real estate development partner and investor, and someone I deeply trust. Because the way you heard him think today is how he actually operates, disciplined, grounded, and focused on what truly matters. Now, if this episode has you considering a deal or even the idea of a deal, and you're asking yourself, am I actually ready to move on this? I want to give you a precise next step. Check the show notes and click the link for the deal assessment. This is where you can enter your project or the project you're thinking about, and I'll help you determine one of three outcomes. Proceed and move forward with a custom strategic roadmap or the next step. Pause and identify what additional due diligence or clarity you need, or stop, because the smartest move is not moving forward at all. And sometimes the right next step is simple. If what you need is education, a checklist, or a framework, I'll point you to the right free resource and let you move at the right pace. You'll get direction, not pressure, because the goal isn't more activity, it's better decisions. This is how Mike builds. This is how I work, and that's how aligned growth actually happens. I'll see you in the next episode of Real Talk with Katie Kim. Let's go. Before we wrap up, if someone in your world needs this conversation, a founder who's carrying a lot and ready for clarity, send this episode to her. These messages land deeper when we share them. And if you're in that space where you know your business can grow, you feel the potential, but the next strategic step isn't fully clear yet, let's talk. You don't need a new identity. You don't need to force a direction. You just need clarity that's aligned with your goals, your numbers, and the life you want to lead. I invite you to book a call with my team. We'll look at where you are, identify the real leverage points, and map the smartest next move, whether that's one of our free resources, a workshop, or deeper support. Clarity creates momentum. Let's get yours. Let's go. The information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not legal advice. It's not financial advice. It's not investment advice. Real estate development, like any investment, carries risk. Before you make decisions, you should always consult a licensed professional, your attorney, your CPA, or your financial advisor, to name a few, to make sure you're making the right choice for your situation. I'm here to share insights and strategy, but you're responsible for your own decisions, and each situation is unique. So make sure you contact your professional team to give you your specific guidance for your specific case, as each real estate development's different and unique and has its own challenges and opportunities.